The following teacher development program is brought to you by the MultiChoice Africa Foundation.
This junk mail just freaks me out. And government is thinking of giving out our details to companies.
And?
That means more junk mail. Never mind the invasion of privacy. And all the paper that will be wasted.
But Thandi, you can't criticize the government if you didn't vote.
I can do whatever I want, okay? Because,
No. You remember the election day? So tell me, what time are you going to the voting station tomorrow?
No, I'm not voting.
What? Our democracy is a proud 10-year-old and you are not voting.
My vote's not going to make a difference.
Your vote counts a lot. It's as much as that of President Thabo Mbeki.
I'm what? 1 in 20 million voters? Numerically speaking, it doesn't. And it's such a small fraction, it's not even worth mentioning.
Numerically speaking, your vote counts a lot. The more people vote, the more democratic the country becomes.
Lebogang, I'm into math, not politics. So leave me alone.
Fine. I'll vote by myself.
Amba.
I can't believe you said you're above politics. Politics are everything. Politics are life. You can't get away from politics. They do. Like math literacy. You told me that everything we do is related to math.
Fine, okay, right. Truth is, I had a hair appointment that day. So sue me. Let me taste your pizza.
Because we have a proportional democracy. Even if a party can get 1%, it will be represented in the parliament. So I don't understand this thing of yours saying, no, my vote doesn't matter.
You should work for the IEC. It'd be perfect.
Well, I've got statistics.
See this pizza? It reminds me of pie graphs. We should actually show people how the pie graph works. That way they'll know how proportional representation works. That'd be the most convincing.
Wait a minute. Are we talking pizzas or pies here?
A pie graph. It's the most useful political tool. See, a pie graph will show you that the slice of votes each party got is almost the same as the slice of seats they'll get in parliament.
That's what I want learners to understand. In some countries, if you only get a few votes, you don't get a seat in the parliament. So, but because we have a proportional democracy, proportions are the same.
I'll help you draw a pie graph that will show the proportions of votes each party got. Then you can do the seats in parliament.
I'll help you draw.
Go.
Just the other day, a grade 12 girl told me she was right behind the ACDP. But because they only got 1% in the last election, she was not going to bother.
1% of 400 seats is 4 whole seats. So with this, you could have convinced her to make her mark. Hey, you got it right. They're almost the same.
Yeah, but what's the difference?
Well, I've got this small orange slice here of 0.7%, which represents other parties, which you don't have because they don't have representation in Parliament.
Oh, shame. Yeah, but let's make sure that I remember how to do this. First, we calculate how many degrees we allocate in each slice of the pie chart.
A pie is a circle, so 100% of a circle is 360 degrees.
And 25% is a quarter or 90 degrees.
But it's not all that easy. You have to write the percentage as a fraction.
By putting it over 100.
Then to get the degrees, we have to multiply the fraction by 360 degrees.
That shows us how many degrees that slice of a pie chart representing a specific party should be.
And then you get your protractor and measure.
And next to each slice, you write the name of the party and put the percentage.
Yes! You know, these days, kids learn about these things in math literacy classes.
Llewellyn Sillot teaches a class of 60 learners. In today's maths literacy class, he will use this large number to his advantage in a lesson about the maths of politics. Llewellyn is trying to mimic the actual voting process as close as possible. There are 3 parties in this election and 3 separate voting districts. Llewellyn has divided his class of 60 into 3 voting districts of about 20 learners each. The party leaders appoint their candidates in the different voting districts.
Yeah, this is what we as Press to Kill Party are willing to offer. Allow casual clothes to school every day. We are going to be sponsored by Jet Identity, Mr. Price and RJL. And as a Dress to Kill Party, we have negotiated with these above-mentioned companies to decrease their prices, and they have agreed with us. My candidates from Orange Farm is Tepiso, and my candidate from Palm Springs is Bonisiwe.
I'm from the Library Party and I'm representing the Library Party. So we'd like you guys to vote for us because we'll make sure that the classes will have, each class will have a shelf, at least 2 of them, with books of different learning areas. The school library will be open from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. after school. And the candidate from Lebogang is Jeanette. And the candidate from Orange Farm is John.
I'm from the Lunch Party and I'd like to give you our manifesto so that you can choose whether you vote for us or what. Lunch Party wants to fight poverty and we'd like to give you free lunch every day because there are children who don't eat at school. And we have spoke to the NGOs and they contribute some money and we'd like to give you free burgers, weekdays and chocolate. So now I'd like to introduce my candidates from the Lebogang district, Savimbi Petros. The lady from Palm Springs, Zanele Bengu.
You can vote.
Once each party has a candidate in each voting district, it's time to vote. The candidates monitor the voting process. Llewellyn has found 3 old IEC boxes to give this election a very real flavor.
Using things like the real IEC boxes, that was fantastic because the more real we can make the lesson, I think the more interesting it is for the learners. And the more they'll remember about it and feel as though they have taken part in something that maths is part of the real world, not just a little activity set up in the classroom.
We believe that the elections have gone well. They were successful, free and fair as we believe.
It's time to tally the votes.
On the board, we don't write 1 or 2 or 3. We make a mark next to the party that got a vote. I mark the first mark, then they tell me again, you tell me again, there's another one, I make the second one again, and so forth until they become 4. As they are 4, you give me another one, we make a cross, now we know that they are 5.
As the parties read out the votes for each district, an election officer makes tally marks in the correct column. It is very important here to keep the votes for the 3 voting districts separate.
Library Party, Library Party.
The results from our last district, which is Palm Springs, the winners are Library Party.
Now the learners have to work out the percentage each party got in their voting district. The first thing the learners have to do is to find the total number of votes cast in their district. Then they can write each party's votes as a fraction of the total votes. From here, it's easy to work out percentage.
You will count and say the Library Party got 11 votes out of 21. Now it will be 11 over the total of the vote, which is 21. Multiply it by 100. That will give you the percentage.
The learners have to draw a pie graph to show the percentages of votes for each party in a visual form. Each voting district will get different results.
The Library Party in the Orange Farm district got 7 out of 19. Now, we know that what is the total degree of a circle?
360.
Then you multiply with that particular amount with 360 degrees. That amount is the slice of the particular party. What degrees did you get for Library Party in Orange Farm? 132.6 degrees. 132.6 degrees. We say it is from 0, then 90, next to it is 100. 110, 120, 130. That from 130, you count 1, 2, 3. Now from there, you draw the line to the center. And that line is called the radius. The whole of that portion, which we say it is 133%.
Llewellyn has written in the degrees of each section of pi just to emphasize it. But in the final pie graph, the learners will write the percentage on each slice. They struggle to calculate the degrees for each section of the pie. What's important is to remember that one pie is 360 degrees.
I multiplied by 360.
Once the learners have calculated the degrees for each slice, they use a protractor to measure. They have to line up the protractor with the last line they drew when they start to measure the next slice.
We need the total number of votes for the Library Party in Orange Farm, in Lebogang, and as well as in Palm Springs. And that amount will give you the total votes nationally. 63. Now this is the last page. It's going to help us to get the slice of a pie for each party nationally, which means that you are going to say for the Library Party nationally, it will be 18 divided by 63. How much are we supposed to multiply this with?
363.
We multiply the amount with 360.
Now the learners look at the total number of votes for the class. They should notice that the pie graph for the overall results is very different from the one showing the local voting district's results.
I thought it was very nice that they drew up different pie graphs and that he had been able to do that using the class in different areas and whatever. And then definitely that then makes the pie graph something that the learners can use instead of just the whole aim of the lesson being drawing the pie graph, actually then looking at the pie graph, comparing it to another one, and then understanding how if they see a pie graph in the newspaper, they can look at it as something and look at it intelligently and see, okay, there's the biggest segment, what does it represent, all that kind of thing. And they were able to make those comparisons because they had more than one in the lesson.
The party leaders now comment on the results of their parties, which they're able to analyze thanks to maths literacy.
Even though we got 0% from the Lebogang and we nearly got 30% from the national pie.
In the national results, Lunch Party managed to get 38%, and that simply means we won the elections and our party rules and the president.
Yeah, the graphs are so cool. With the next election, I want to show them to kids. The proportion of votes you get on the pie chart representing the total number of votes corresponds to the pie chart representing the total number of seats.
And in so doing, you'll be illustrating proportional representation mathematically.
You know, I feel like a political analyst. They use math all the time.
Our democracy is based on a one-person, one-vote system and allows for proportional representation for political parties in Parliament. We asked political analyst Joe Mavuso to explain.
Proportional representation ensures that we've got equal number of representation throughout the 9 provinces in South Africa. It allows even small parties who get smaller votes during the elections to be able to advance their members into the National Assembly.
A voice in Parliament for nearly everyone means that government can address issues that affect as many of us as possible.
Now, when we translate votes into a number of parliamentary seats in Parliament, let's take, for instance, in South Africa, we had 20 million voters registered. And if you take a smaller party in South Africa, like the African Christian Democratic Party, which is the ACDP, it had 200,000 votes. And if you take the ACDP vote, you divide it by the total number of voters in the country, we get 0.01. And you times this by 100, you get 1%. Now, the 1% of the 400 seats that you get in the National Assembly gives you 4 MPs. Now, according to the formula that has been devised by the Electoral Commission, there is a 1 plus that they add into the total figure, which gives us 5 MPs of the ACDP in Parliament.
Thank you so much. It's such a privilege to be chosen leader of the Math Literacy Party. Lebogang,
Yes?
how many votes does one need to start a party?
Well, if you wanted to get into Parliament, you'd need at least 1% of the votes. If we take this last election, where 15.6 million people voted, you'd need at least 156,000 votes. Why?
Just asking.